for people who've never been to Morocco, how would you describe it?
Morocco is a beautiful place. I'll start with that. Plenty of different types of areas. What I mean by that is on the northern coast, you have the Mediterranean. So similar to a lot of the Mediterranean countries, right? Um, and then on the other side, it's the Atlantic. So you have a lot of coastal areas. Then you go inland. There's mountain ranges, the Atlas Mountains, known in Morocco. And then when you go south, there's the desert. So there's a
Wow.
little bit of everything, right? We have
Yeah.
snow, we have the desert, we have the beach and that kind of climate. So there's plenty to do there. From Morocco as kind of like a cultural place, it's a mix of Arabic Muslim culture and some European and even American influence. I'd say mostly European because it was colonized by Portugal and then France and then Spain, right? So that left remnants of that kind of culture. So it's pretty interesting when you look at some of the other Muslim countries that are a lot more traditional and culturally just 100% through and through Muslim
Hmm.
compared to Morocco, where it's a little more easygoing. Mostly everyone's still Muslim, but a little more laid back, if you will.
So women don't have to be covered.
No, they don't have to be. A lot of them are. A lot of them aren't. A lot of the younger generation isn't.
Okay.
Um, but like if you're a Moroccan woman there and you're not covered and you're wearing something you'd see a woman wearing here, no one's going to say anything to you. It's normal.
Okay.
Mhm.
Would you say women are held to as high of esteem in Morocco as they are in America? Like they're just as safe and they can walk around on their own in Morocco?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then,
It's not really a safety thing. It's more of a cultural thing where it's like, well, you shouldn't be out by yourself walking around, right? Like you should most
yeah.
likely be with a man. I think a lot of women also view themselves a little differently from that aspect. Like, I'm not just going to go out and do all this stuff like a man would do. I'm a woman. I'm going to
Hmm.
take care of myself. I'm getting married, having a family is a big thing over there, very important. Um, but I don't think there's any like fear or risk or anything from that angle.
And so it's still very
Yes,
traditional values.
traditional values for sure.
And then you said there's European and some American influence. Does that mean there's European and Americans that live in Morocco?
Plenty. Yeah, a
And
lot
do
of them.
they live in, like, is it kind of segregated or is it all mixed
All
together?
mixed together. Yeah.
And when you're in Morocco, do you feel all of those influences as you're going around the area, or does it still feel very, um, I guess, Muslim or more the majority of what the population is?
You definitely feel the influence in the mix. For example, French. Everyone in Morocco speaks French. Mostly everyone in Morocco speaks French.
Okay.
And it's kind of like it's funny, it's kind of like a signaling thing. So the families that are wealthy and their kids go to private schools, etc., the kids mostly speak French.
Okay.
That's why I learned French when I went
Mhm.
there. But there's definitely a large mix, and you see it a lot with my generation as they grow up. They go to college overseas. I feel that there's a lot more European and American tendencies that they pick up, whether they're positive or negative, than you would see in older generations.
Now, is there a college there or university?
There's plenty. Yeah,
Really? So
yeah.
how big how would you compare it the size of Morocco? Like if you're going to compare it to a state in
Uh,
America.
it's about 40 million people.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
and sizing wise, if you count the Sahara, which you should, um, it's probably the size of California, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah, I may be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
It's kinda runs vertical like that, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Same
yeah.
shape
Same
or
shape,
similar
yeah,
shape. Yeah.
yeah.
And then you mentioned like so there's some wealthy areas and then are there really poor areas
Yes.
too?
Yeah.
Just like anywhere, right?
Just like anywhere, but it's worse than you would see here in the U.S. Like there's areas that barely have running electricity.
Mm.
May or may not have water. Kind of just like shacks that people have built,
Mhm.
but every time I've gone back to Morocco since I moved here from Morocco in 2014, that's been slowly and slowly getting eliminated. And they're building, the government's building apartments, things like that, to put people up in and get them out of those like shacks and things like that. It's an eyesore. It's tough to
Mhm.
see the people living there. So they've been really combating that, and I think they've more or less been pretty successful.
That's great. So what is the government system there? Is it like here where you vote for a leader every 4 years, or how does it
No,
compare?
it's a monarchy.
Yeah.
So it's the royal family. They have a king.
Okay.
After the king, his son becomes king, and after
Okay.
him, his son becomes king.
And
Um,
they're running the show.
they're running everything. Yeah, there's elected officials that run different parts of the government, but at the end of the day, the king is the ruler, the leader, and he can influence or change or make anything that he wants to do as he sees fit.
So it's not like in Britain where the monarchy is more kind of at this point like for tourism or anything else, but they have a totally different system running the show in Morocco.
It's not a democracy.
Right,
No.
right.
No,
So is there a lot of corruption, do you think?
there's definitely a lot of corruption. Yeah. There's a lot of corruption, and it's interesting because a lot of the corruption that you see is within the elected officials. So they get
Mm.
elected and then they lean towards corruption, which is very interesting. Um, from the king's side, I don't think there has been much corruption or anything that the people have been necessarily upset about. It's very, very interesting to see the love and respect that he gets as a ruler that wasn't chosen and is just he's going to be the ruler until he passes away.
And so
Um,
people revere the
yes,
family.
yes,
Um, and and I'm sure then that family has created a lot of pride for Moroccans.
yes, very much so. Especially this, I don't want to say new king because he was the king when I was born. Probably became king in '98 or maybe somewhere around there. But he has been a very big proponent of kind of similar to what the rest of the world's dealing with globalization, bringing in foreign companies, bringing in like expanding Morocco across Africa, and just making the economy thrive more, bringing in more options for companies, jobs, whatever it is,
Mhm.
and growing the countries from an economic standpoint. And I think you see that now where it's flourished, where Morocco is number one country in Africa, pretty much everything runs through Morocco.